Well, here in our discussion of lust, I'm reminded of Jesus' words on the Sermon on the Mount, in the Sermon on the Mount, and they're very helpful. He helps us to see that this really is a heart issue.
Yeah.
He talks about, you've heard it said, you shall not commit adultery, but even if you've lusted after a woman in your heart, he brings it really close to us in a way that we all must admit. As we said in our episode, we're all guilty of this in some form or fashion. Sin affects all of us. But then he also says, and this is kind of tough, he says, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. Yeah. It's better to enter eternity with one eye than to be cast into hell. Same thing if your hand causes you to sin. So I guess the question is, we've said we all struggle with this. This is a sin that affects everyone. How come we're not all walking around gouged out eyes, cut off hands? What do we do with that?
Yeah, so really good question. And I'm glad that you brought this up in the sense that it really does show that this is less a behavior, only when I do this thing, and it's much more a heart issue.
Right.
And that's really what Jesus is trying to point out, and that when it's in the heart and a heart issue, it's no less serious. Right? There are more consequences. There are degrees of sins, and there are more consequential sins if we actually let it have expression. But it's still an incredibly weighty matter, even as it resides right here. And we need to do everything we can to kill it. And so if someone thinks, well, okay, yeah, but we're not going nearly as far as Jesus says. Well, this is a rhetorical turn in order to help you understand how grievous this is. If he meant that you should actually do this. So sometimes we say, should we take it literally? And the answer is absolutely.
Right.
But by literally, we mean inside the actual literature in which it's written and knowing what the rhetorical moves and literary moves that are being made.
Yes.
If what he meant was technically, yes, you should gouge out your eyes and you should chop off your hands, we would expect his disciples, especially someone like Peter, who we knew denied him, wouldn't he want to cut out his tongue, who Paul had to confront directly about his eating with Jews and not Gentiles. Wouldn't he need to do something?
Right.
So it's obvious that even those who were closest to him did not take this as a we need to mutilate ourselves physically, but don't let that neuter the strength of that we are to kill this, and this is a very serious sin. And Jesus is warning that it's better that we would mutilate ourselves and end up in heaven is so much better than that we should allow sin to fester in our hearts and it take us to hell.